All right, this is Nick from Remedy 667, and welcome to Horror Font Friday. Let's get a new Photoshop document going here. We're going to do letter size, create, Command J to duplicate, click it and convert it to a smart object. Going to double click it, and today we're going to make a alphabet based on this poster for a film, The Beast in the Cellar. It's pretty wild, pretty interesting lettering. So I'm going to just focus right up on that type there. This is kind of 60s looking. Alright, and let's get into the curves and just try to darken up that red and lighten up that white. Sample all letters. I don't want that continuous. Oh yeah, that's much better. So right now what we're doing is we're just kind of working on isolating this piece of text. And then once we get it, you don't even have to do it that wild, but I'm actually going to copy that because when I go back into here, I want to duplicate that again because normally what I'll do is I will go into my filter gallery. Whoops. Hit D to make sure that those are black and white are right. And I do that and it kind of just adds a little bit of weird smoothness. But you know what? I don't think I need that for this. I think I might just go all in. So this is what we're starting with. Curse of Dracula, of course. Ignore color, expand, drag it, because I always like keeping a reference of kind of where I started. I'm going to take away some of these points. Perfect. Command Shift G to ungroup it, and then let's get it started. Whoops. Command Shift G a bunch of times. Excellent. All right. So A, B, C, D, E, F, G. You know how it starts. First thing we do is usually just kind of go through and grab the actual letters that we have. And that's how we'll start. And you'll notice these are, because it's lettering, these could essentially have been two separate fonts. Like, they don't even really work that well together. But this is where we're starting from. Let's put those all on one line. And I'm going to try and, because this is also kind of weird with the heights and everything, I want to set it up so that we can actually keep it. Keep it on the baseline. So let's move right into the D. So we're going to make a D with an E and a backwards C. I think that works good. Smooth that out. Smooth that out. Not really sure where that mark even came from. D, E, like we said before. Gonna get rid of this weird loop there, which must have been a mark that kind of transferred or translated poorly when we minimized our points. But that looks pretty good. Gonna make an F out of an E. One thing you want to make sure when you make an F out of an E is kind of just drop that a little bit. Should be lower on the F. You're trying to balance out the negative space. Like imagine it next to another letter. You want those kind of to be balanced. The G, I'm going to make the G out of, actually I'm not going to make it out of F. I'm going to make it out of the L because it'll be easier than trying to shrink it down. Another weird loop right there. Now this H came from the weird the, so it's actually a little wider than it probably should be, and might be a little smoother too than it should be. So we're just gonna kind of go into the corners, and I say round them off, but we're actually doing the opposite because they're already pretty round. So this is adding more points, but it's also making it look more correct with the rest of that. I don't fucking know. Talking and doing this is so complicated. Not really. I mean, I guess there's all sorts of people that do it all the time and do it really well, but I'm not one of those people. So, yeah, you get what you get. And I'm just kind of cleaning up some of these points. And you notice I do that with the pencil tool, and that's because I prefer the pencil tool. I used to do this with a Wacom tablet for years and years and years, but now my wrist gets really sore when I use the Wacom tablet. Just, I don't know if it's the way I hold it, because I can draw on regular paper just fine, but something about the Wacom tablet, like, I still use it for doing clipping masks and stuff in Photoshop, but I don't use it for drawing letters as much. I guess I'm just not as tight with it, or I don't know. I'm gonna save the J and the K for later. That's just a move that I do. Might save the M for later too. I have the radio going super low. Usually it's a lot louder, but oh, also my finger is healing and it's doing much better, but I cut right through my fingernail when I was preparing dinner. I guess it's almost 2 weeks ago at this point. And I don't know. It's had a band-aid on it forever, and I can't hit the keys like I normally would. So it kind of, the spotlight bar pops up again, like when they first implemented that, like it's just not, it's had a lot of Neosporin on it or something. It's kind of numb. All right, where are we getting to know? Let's get back to it here. Gonna make an O from the C, just like they used to do on the OC. Whoops. P is actually from the R, but works the same as the E and the F, where you want to drag that down a little bit. Just a little bit. The Q, I also like to use the R to make the Q, which I'm sure you watch me make essentially the same video over and over, but doing it with different lettering samples. I like that in and out. It's like a cigar. Ooh. Command G. All right. So that puts us here. How are we looking on time? We're 14 minutes into this. That's criminal. Thought this was supposed to be a 15-minute make. Normally I would cut up the H and turn that into this, but I'm going to do it different this time because I don't feel that that's appropriate. And it's not that it's some sort of wildly inappropriate thing. It just doesn't... I don't think it works with this piece of lettering. Ooh. When there's two A's, it's always fun to turn one into a V. Always. It's never not fun to do that. Transform, reflect, because we want... Wait. No. I think for this, I want the thin side on the right. And I don't think it's actually consistent in this typeface or this piece of lettering, so it's not super important. This is something I haven't done in a while. I don't know why, but using the N and the V to make a W. This used to be my go-to move for the longest time, and then I just kind of, I don't know, started using pieces of lettering that had more duplicate A's in them or something. I don't really know. Whoa. This is terrible. So that's just really bad. It's something that you'd come back and revisit. That V's actually not that great either. Alright. So those are looking ass terrible. So let's go back to the J and the K. I want that J to be tightened in a little bit. And on the right. Kind of mimicking the L, only it's gonna ride in on that side a little bit more. And this is what, a K? Should probably look like that. I think part of the fact where this kind of went off the rails is I used, from the word the, use those wider ones, because look at how different that E is. So I actually want this to be like down there. Making another terrible decision. I don't like that M. Y. And these are actually, I'm going to make them a little bit wider for the Z. Because I always run into this, or not always, but lately, been running into a thing where when I try to make the tops of the Z, they just sort of, it becomes a character that's just too thin. I think that Z looks pretty good. I feel like this Y actually should be thinner, at least on the top. Smooth out these centers. And making those a little more uneven also makes it more natural. I liked the U, so let's make that style W. Like McDonald's arches. I don't know if it picks up on the microphone, but it's funny because I like kind of hold my breath sometimes when I'm trying to draw a straight line, which I'm not very good at. But then after I draw it, I like breathe out like it's kind of comical. All right, I'm gonna pull out the smooth tool. And maybe it's bad news bears, but because it's going to take away from some of the natural hand-drawnness of these letters. But it's also going to get rid of some of the points, and that's good for everyone. Especially on the ones where I had to go in and draw stuff. So, all right. So, that's 25 minutes. There you go. 25 minutes, and there's an alphabet. And that's how it would scroll. That is how we made our alphabet of the beast in the cellar. Check us out on Rooney667.com for more typefaces and other foolishness.